Introducing Brian Blog's audio articles, now available only at Brian Blog's Corner Club at www.patreon.com/Brian Too Bad TV Solange, my newest upgrade for valued patron members. For older blogs, you can now click on the audio file attachment below the written article. Download it on your Android, iPhone, laptop, or desktop. For newer blogs, simply click on the audio strip as seen in this illustration, and then listen along as you read it, or just choose to listen as I personally narrate yet another one of my classical masterpieces. It will be just like listening to my public videos on YouTube, BitChute, and Black Avenger TV, only you will have exclusive access to audible and written material available only to paying patron members. For as little as $7 a month, you can become a member of this important club of like-minded thinking individuals. Get the latest updates on news, stories trending on social media, and cold case files, as well as new revelations on historical events and political issues. With Brian's blog audio articles, you now get twice the content for the same price. Again, if you want to enjoy a members-only club where you get to choose whether you want to read or listen to my awesome content, sign up for as little as $7 a month. That's less than a standard fast food combo meal these days. Become a member of Brian Blog's Corner Club at www.patreon.com/Brian Too Bad TV Solange and enjoy exclusive access to audio article blog library only available at the Brian Blog's Corner Club today.
What's going on, YouTube? You've seen the title of this video, and I'm gonna get to that in a moment. But first, I want to do something that, again, as I told you guys in my last video, I'm going to try to start doing more often, which is showing my gratitude and thanks and appreciation for all of those of you who are my special supporters, meaning those of you who support the Brian Too Bad TV Solange channel, both on YouTube, BitChute, Black Avenger, and Patreon, and through PayPal. I'm going to try to start doing that more often. And so I want to give a special thanks to Mr. Antoine Wood, who increased his pledge to me on Patreon. There was someone else who signed up on Patreon the other day. I don't know, well, they signed up today, but I don't know who it was, because I can't, for some reason, when I refresh the page, I can't see their name. But whoever you are, special thanks to you. And also special thanks to Zachariah, first name Zachariah. I don't know if he wants me to say his second name, but he's always giving a few bucks like every week, and I really appreciate that, brother. Of course, you guys already know I've been in the business of this shit for 5 years. You don't have to pay me, but of course we all need money, and it does help. You know, I'm not gonna try to, you know, sell you a river like I need money to produce these. Well, some of the larger projects, yeah, but stuff like this, no. I do this because this is my passion. Writing and producing videos has been something that I've been doing since I was a little kid, and you know, now I get to interact with you know, with the audience and get paid for it, so I truly appreciate that. Excuse me. Oh god, this weather in the Midwest is fucking crazy. On a side note, I heard that it's actually supposed to fucking snow here in Illinois, and particularly up in Chicago, and we're supposed to get a few inches. It's late fucking April, and we're gonna get a fucking snowstorm. I'm telling you, if you don't believe in global warming, you're just like these black simps. You're living in denial. You're in a confrontation with reality, man. But anyway, all of that out of the way, one other thing, just to let you guys know who are paying patron members, as I promised you, you get 4, not 1, not 2, not 3, but 4 audio blogs per week, and per month, and I may produce more than that in a month, but that's 1 a week. That's the Brian Blogs Corner Club promise. Now, for those of you who are paying patron members, and those of you who aren't paying patron members, you saw I already posted on the community post that I released the first 2 blogs of this month. You know, they were a little late, took me a while to get to, but I finally got that out of the way. And now there are 2 more blogs coming out starting tomorrow evening. There's one coming out at approximately 7:59, just before 8 p.m. Central Standard Time, and that's what I'm showing you here. It's entitled "Why the Election of Donald Trump is a Reflection of America Itself." And also on April 30th, the last day of the month, I got something special planned for you guys. I've been telling you since my first channel is Brian Solange on here back in 2016 that I wanted to do a Ghetto Gaggers project. Because I'm so tied up with other things, I decided the best thing to do would be to turn it into a blog. So there is a 17-minute audio blog accompanied by a written article on the Ghetto Gaggers issue entitled "The Supply and Demand for Ghetto Gaggers and what it says about the modern day black female." That is going to be available April 30th, also just before 8 p.m. Central Standard Time. So if you're not a Brian's Blog Corner Club member on Patreon, sign up today for just $7 a month. You get exclusive access to audio blogs, also in written form, that you will not get anywhere else. And like I said, I feel like I am one of the hardest working people on black social media right now. Even though, you know, I'm not as popular as a Tommy Sotomayor, I'm producing content with consistency across 4 fucking platforms: Patreon.com, BitChute, Black Avenger, and on YouTube. And as a side note, a lot of you guys, you don't go to BitChute and Black Avenger when I upload content unless I post a promotional video over here on YouTube telling you to go over there, which is quite stupid, because those of you who are alert to my content on BitChute and Black Avenger, those of you who are alert to it, you know that you get access to watch videos and content and commentary that, you know, I may upload that and not promote it for a week or more. Okay, So those of you who are actually paying attention to my alternative platforms, you get to see content that, you know, other people don't get to see because they're not fucking paying attention, because they're so dead struck on fucking YouTube. Okay, so yeah, definitely make sure you pay attention to my BitChute and Black Avenger TV platforms as well. I just uploaded another video on Black Avenger just today, and again, the links for all of those are down in the description box. And one other thing, I keep hearing these dumb niggas, they come to me and they say, it takes you forever to get to the point. You know, just get to the point. Listen, nigga, unless you are one of my paying patron members, unless you have donated to me on PayPal, shut the fuck up. And most of the people who are my special supporters, okay, they don't complain about my content, okay? They can appreciate that I am a hard-working man in both running my business and producing this content, okay? Most of the people that are ranting and raving like that are newcomers. I will talk about something completely different for 30 goddamn minutes if I want to. If you don't like it, get the fuck off my platform, change the channel, and go watch something else, okay? Another thing idiots complain about, the music in my videos in the background. I don't do that as much as I used to because I'm using a screen recorder now. But if you don't like the music, get the fuck off my video. Go watch somebody else's video. Nobody is paying you to be here any more than you're paying me to produce this shit, okay? So stop complaining that it takes me forever to get to the subject and stop complaining that I have music in my background, okay? Get your freeloading ass on some fucking where and pick up your welfare check. I don't owe you squat. Everybody from here on out that makes those stupid ass comments that aren't one of my special supporters is getting blocked and deleted. Now, I have to touch on this issue with this Always a Witch Netflix series that premiered back in January, I believe it was. Now, I didn't know anything about this. I know Netflix is popular, you know, the whole Netflix and chillin' phrase that niggas made up. I don't have Netflix. I'm an avid DVD collector. I like collecting DVDs. It's one of several things that I do collect. So I'm still old school. I still go to, you know, Barnes and Noble or Walmart, and I still actually buy the hard copies of movies. That's something that I've been doing since a little kid. And the VCR and the what do they call them? The not the cassette tapes, those other big goofy looking black tapes that used to go in the VCR. For those of you who can remember from that far back. So I didn't know anything about this until I watched a David Carroll's latest video where he mentioned this, and I don't know where he picked it up from, because this is a Spanish spoken or Portuguese, I don't know either one. I think they said it's based out of Colombia, so I'm assuming that it's Spanish. I believe in Colombia they speak Spanish. I think Brazil is the only Latin American country where they speak Portuguese, because the Spanish weren't able to subjugate the Brazilians. But anyway, this is a Spanish-speaking TV series, and I don't know how David Carroll learned about it, but he spoke on it and what he described, because I'll never watch it because I don't waste my time watching garbage. But he described it as basically this is about a black female slave. I'll give you the short version. It's about a black female slave from South America, believed to be Colombia, that was risking being burned at the stake because she fell in love with the son of her slave master, and also because she was a witch. Okay, so she somehow met up with this warlock or something like that, and he sent her into the future. And when she went into the future, you know, she was like a black female college student, and she went into the future to avoid you know, being burned at the stake, but also to save her white lover, who was the son of her slave master, because it was also said by the warlock that he was going to be murdered shortly after she was executed for their romance. And so she's in the future doing what she has to do, you know, blending in and everything. And then she decides that she's missing this son of the slave master that she fell in love with. She's missing him so bad that she actually goes back in time. She actually goes back to the past and falls in love with him and winds up losing her life over it, but saves him. That's what I essentially got from this story. And you know, as you know, Michael J. Fox and whoever that crazy white-haired mad scientist dude was, I think he's still alive. I forget. But you know, they started the whole Back to the Future thing, and people been doing that in movies ever since. But when I heard what this movie was, you know, just the short summary version of what this Netflix series was about, I had to go and watch a trailer of the shit. And the trailer was kind of goofy. You know, they just don't make movies with the same quality as they used to. Me being a movie aficionado, a lover of movie, a collector of movies, I can tell you the quality of movie content, even TV series content, has just gone down the tubes in the last few decades. But it wasn't so much the trailer that, you know, kind of got me chuckling, but it was the commentary, all the comments down below this video. And when I looked at the comments, and I'm gonna show you those comments in a minute, what I saw was just a laundry list of black females, mostly black females, that were so happy that this movie was coming out. And the thing that kind of stunned me was these females were not speaking Spanish. They were speaking English, which is indicative that most of them are probably black American females. And the biggest praise that they had for the movie was that they were glad that a movie was coming out depicting a dark-skinned African Latina. Now, before we even go there, okay, first I want to share one thing with you guys, because when I saw this, I tied it to the Ancestry.com commercial. They got these females' panties wet, as you know, and got all these simp mangina pro-black hoteps, you know, got their panties in a bunch. And I realized it caused me to recall that just like I did with Paris Milan and Cynthia G, I was the first one to sound the alarm in regards to black women being all raped who were slaves by the white slave master being a myth. And I can prove that. Now, this is my Black Avenger TV channel. For those of you who don't know, the link is down in the description box, and there will be a direct link to this actual video. Okay. Now, this is a video that I actually produced. I recalled this video. I remembered this video because of this Always a Witch bullcrap on Netflix. And I actually looked at the file date because I had to go into my computer's archive files and pull this up. This was a video that I produced over 3 years ago on January 16th, 2016. And in this video, it, just like today's video, it was inspired by a video that David Carroll made about how there was race mixing, there was, swirling between black women and white men, and black men and white women during the days of Jim Crow. And what he was doing was he was validating that point by showing old magazine covers of, like magazines that catered to black America back then, like Hue and Jet and Ebony magazine back in the 1930s and 1940s. And after that video, for some strange after I watched this video 3 years ago on that subject, I don't know why, but it hit me like an epiphany. I don't know what I was thinking about at the time for sure, but I had never really ventured into that issue like that, but it just hit me. All these light-skinned Negroes running around, not just the newer, because everybody's talking about, how there's a new breed of biracial that, it just seems like it's trending now. All these biracials run around, but it occurred to me that, just in your family alone, that there are biracial, light-skinned black women and black men, elderly people that are grandmother and great-grandmother age, like Rosa Parks, that are old enough to indicate that this race mixing, there's enough of them to indicate that this race mixing thing has been going on for quite a while in America. And so I said, now wait a minute. We're talking about people who were born or teenagers or your age in a time when Emmett Till got lynched for whistling at a white woman. So, this common myth that black women come up with that, black men, they date out and they produce biracial children at 2 or 3 times the rate that black women do. This has to be a fucking lie. It has to be. Because a black man couldn't even whistle at a black woman or at a white woman without being lynched back in those days. Now, of course, we know that there were black men like Jack Johnson in very rare cases that were out in public with white women, but a majority of them did that behind closed doors, and it was very few of them compared to their black female counterpart. Why do we know this? Because a good majority of the ones that were brave enough to do it out in public were getting lynched. Let me ask y'all a legitimate question. What do you think a majority of those Negroes that lost their lives, being lynched up, strung up on trees, what do you think their crime was to warrant white mobs dragging them, into the middle of nowhere and stringing them up on a tree, or even in some cases burning them? If you think they were being lynched and strung up just over a pair of shoes, stealing a pair of shoes, or breaking into somebody's car, no. Most of those brothers that you saw being murdered like that were caught with white women, or white women accused them of rape that they were actually having consensual sex with. This is common knowledge, okay? They were being lynched and strung up, and their bodies were left there as an example to other black men who were thinking about trying to have sex with or date or have some other type of relationship with a white woman. They were not being lynched for, just conventional, what people would consider conventional crimes back then. In a lot of cases, not even murder. Okay? They were being lynched because the few of them that were either brave enough or got caught, on the sneak tip, sleeping with white women, and in mostly all of those cases, it was consensual. Now, when I realized that, I said, there is no way that all of these biracials, if you just use common sense, and I was never good at math, but I know simple math, I know how to add and subtract. If you look at a lot of the older, generations of light-skinned people, again, like a Rosa Parks, in your family, Thurgood Marshall, he was light-skinned and biracial. Huey Newton was light-skinned and biracial. Where are all of these light-skinned Negroes coming from? Some of them coming from black men, yeah, but most of them not only were coming from relationships, or they were not only coming from black women, the seed of white men in black women, they were coming from consensual relationships and sexual encounters of white men with black women. Okay? And another way I can prove that not only were these relationships consensual, but this whole rape thing is a myth, as I said 3 years ago, is because during World War II, at the end of World War II, for those of you, and I actually have a video coming out about this, when the Soviet Union overran Berlin, in a matter of just a few weeks, Soviet soldiers, in retaliation for what the Germans did during Operation Barbarossa when they invaded Russia, they raped over 2 million German Fräuleins, meaning German women. Okay? Out of those 2 million German women that were actually raped by the Red Army, or the Soviet Army, okay, the Soviet Red Army, same thing, less than 100,000 of them had offspring. Okay? Many of them had, committed suicide. Many of them had abortions, but a lot of them just simply were not impregnated. So this myth that, white men were just dragging slaves off against their will and just raping them and making all these biracial children, I said it in this very video 3 years ago. Most people follow the path of least resistance, and that includes white men. This is why they bred the black pastor. Just like, what is easier to do? Is it easier to sit in a church hut and listen to, these Negroes, worship this Christianity that you taught them to make sure that they're not plotting on you? Or is it easier to breed a black male to be a pastor that you can trust, to keep an eye on your slave flock for you and report back to you about what the slaves are doing, so you can stay laid up in the house relaxing? What is easier to do in the case of, having sex? Is it easier to, every time you get horny and you see some female slave in the field that is getting you worked up, to drag her off kicking and screaming, and in the midst of that scare the other ones, right? Because remember, on the Armistead, those black slaves that killed those crackers on the Armistead, the ship, they said in their trial the reason why I think they were acquitted was because they said when they saw the chef, the captain's chef, looking at them, and he was cutting up a pig, and he pointed at them in a joking manner, they thought that he was indicating that he was going to cut them up and eat them too. It was bad enough that they were, enslaved. And those slaves actually were acquitted, if memory serves me correctly. Okay? So if you drag this female slave off kicking and screaming, it's going to take effort to do that. Then you're going to scare the other slaves, both male and female. Just the violence involved in a sexual assault. Okay? And then, the sounds, I don't have to go into detail. Everybody knows what sexual assault is. So you got to do that every single time you want some black slave pussy, versus taking this female in the house, if she's not already a house slave, you know, getting her drunk, getting her a little tipsy, you know, smooth talking her, treating her nice, and then, you know, talking your way into the pussy. Of course, you could take it by force because you're the slave master. But wouldn't it be easier to get her to consent to having sex with you by showing her, you know, going a little easier on her? Again, most people follow the path of least resistance. And prior to what people think, most rapes do not transmit to children being had. So a lot of these cases, and I think a couple of years ago, I don't know if they were like, I think it was a professor from the University of Berkeley. They did a research study on rape and found that, you know, the trauma of rape, usually it does something on a chemical level to the female that in a lot of cases it prevents the male seed. If it does enter into her, it prevents the sperm from being able to fertilize her egg, or, you know, it's not, you know, the process, it doesn't click the way it otherwise would if it was a consensual relationship, because there's a lot of trauma and there's a lot of shock there. Okay, so that, you know, of course rape occurred. Rape has occurred since the beginning of Adam and Eve. But the myth that these pro-blacks want to preach, that rape is the reason why, you know, most of these biracials are around, is a myth. It's over exaggerated. So I made a video, and I was the first one. If anybody else can point out someone who produced a video in or before January 2016 about this very issue, please point them out, and I will give them their just due credit. But again, I believe, just like I tried to give you guys the early warning about Paris Milan, and just like I tried to give you guys the early warning about what's her name, Cynthia G, I gave you guys the early warning. Really, I mean, you know, it was really just reporting on history. But now that I see what's happening, this trend with Netflix and then Ancestry.com trying to romanticize slavery between black women and black men, I realized that I was also the Paul Revere of confronting this myth about white men and black women being all or mostly rape and sexual assault during slavery. So that video is now available over on Black Avenger TV. The link's in the description box. And again, this was a video that I produced back in mid-January 2016. Ironically, around the time that I started my last, and I do mean last, disaster of a relationship with a black bimbo. Now, back to this Always a Witch trailer. Once I heard David Carroll bring this up, I went and I watched the trailer. Wasn't impressed. It looked like some horribly produced sitcom, to be honest with you. But I scrolled. It wasn't the trailer. You know, so what? Another black bedwitch movie. Who cares? They're popping up all over the place now. Okay, just like the Ancestry.com commercial. Well, you know, and I said it then. Why are you surprised? They're picking up on what these swirlers are talking about across black social media, and their market analysts are telling them, hey, this is a market where we can get into, where we can potentially make money. We know black people have money. They have a spending power now of over $1 trillion. Okay, so we know these bimbos have money. So even though it's unethical, Since when was since when was running a business or sales ethical? Let's give them what they want, which is to romanticize a time when black women were slaves and property of white men. Okay? They want to believe that these black, what I tried to warn y'all about 3 years ago. Okay? And what we now on the internet have historical proof of, that there were black female slaves back then willingly giving up the pussy, giving up the punani to white masters. I mean, this, and we're not just talking about the house negress either. We're talking about a lot of the field slaves that were being treated, according to what blacks believe. Although we've also covered, how slavery was a convenience to both the slave and the slave master. But that's a subject for a video, a live stream we've already done. The current day swirler is not really far off from her assumption that there were these consensual relationships that she wants to believe happened so badly that were occurring back then. And you have to ask yourself, okay, because they say we all have a connection to our ancestors, or that's what certain tribes of the Indians believe, and I believe that too. Why are there, for you Hotep and pro-black Negroes, and including you pro-Israelite Negroes, you have to ask yourself, not only why is there such a demand by so many black females, from the hood rat to the strong and educated with 2 or 3 master's degrees black female, why are so many of your women drawn to TV shows like Scandal and commercials like Ancestry.com and this Netflix series called Always a Witch? Why are they so drawn to men of other races, particularly white men? Even a lot of these black females that are in relationships with your black ass. And to top it off, why do they want to believe that there was romance going on between black female slaves and white men who were on the slave plantation? Again, we have an innate connection to our ancestors. So what does that tell you, Mr. Hotep? That tells you that these females are projecting, they're inheriting the same emotions and feelings that their black female ancestors who were slaves were having back then. Now, did this happen in every case? No. Did this happen in most cases? No. But we know now, with the information that's out there, like so many people have said this, there's no excuse for anybody to be ignorant anymore in the age of information. There is legitimate evidence, okay, online and off. You can go to libraries and read books of people who've written about it, that there were a number of consensual relationships between black women, not free black women, but black women who were legitimate slaves in the South, and white men. And that a good number of these relationships, I even showed y'all picture proof of this, of a North Carolina fucking slave owner that married his black female slave and had biracial children. A black and white photo that was so old, I think they called photographs back then tintypes. Okay? A lot of these relationships produced biracial children. We're talking back even before the American Civil War. Okay? This was shit that was going on. Yes, whether you want to admit to it or whether you want to accept it or not. This is your black female, Mr. Hotep. Now, to further prove not only this, how much these females deify white men, but how badly, you know, we've all heard, you know, the black female talk about she got Indian in her family, or he's mixed. I've had black women, you know, darker than me, that will come and stop me in my tracks and correct me if I refer to someone, male or female, as black. And they'll say, oh no, he or she is mixed. They mixed. And it always would perplex me as to why they felt the need to tell me that such and such is mixed, whether that's true or not, because the subject had nothing to do with them being mixed. I remember one time I was talking to this bimbo named Kendra about some kid that shot up the block and got arrested by the cops. I heard the gunshots and ran outside as, you know, as soon as the police arrived, and they was taking his little dumb ass off. And some hood rats, they were standing on the street corner, and they were talking about how they knew dude, you know, from around the way. And then I said, oh, is that the guy? And I made some type of mention about, you know, what he was wearing. And then this female, just out of nowhere, she said he's mixed. What? I'm like, okay, but his stupid ass is still going to jail and likely to prison for what he did. What does that have to do with what the fuck does that have to do with him firing off 9 shots, 2 of which hit somebody's fucking house a block and a half down the street and nearly killed somebody? One of the bullets actually lodged in this white guy's microwave when thankfully him and his granddaughter was sitting in the living room. I said, what does that have to do with what he did, or me making a mention about what he's wearing? And why did she do this? Because just like these black bimbos, as you're going to see on this trailer in the comment section, being mixed, being anything but what they are, which is black, which includes this black female actress that is playing in this Always a Witch. What's her name? Cynthia Brugia, I guess that's her name. In their psyche, they view themselves, or they want to view themselves, as anything other than just black. If you look at if you go to the social media pages of the very bimbos that are always talking about black men have self-hate, you will see color contacts, you will see Brazilian weaves, you will see, you know, drawn on eyebrows, all manner of ridiculous nonsense that they do to themselves to make themselves look like something other than they are. I mean, we've been through this a million times. Paris Milan. Imagine that. A female that is always griping, moaning, and groaning about how bad white people are. And even if we set aside when she said that she gave her phone number to that white boy that she gave a ride to as an Uber driver, this very same female has a name first and last of 2 European cities. Again, it's like an instinct with them now. Every opportunity they get, both mentally and physically, they want to alter who they are to themselves. And I do believe some of that was rooted in slavery because of what happened. But a lot of that is really just, it's self-inflicted. Because at some point in history, these females looked in the mirror and did not like what they saw. Now, this is not the case in every case, but it's the case in enough cases. I mean, again, people always talk about slavery this, slavery that, and what it did to black people. Okay, how do you explain the Negroes that are still in Africa whose ancestors didn't get put on those slave ships? How do you explain that a majority of women in Kenya use skin lightening products, including underground material that causes cancer. How do you explain that? If it was just slavery that caused them to be that way, how do you explain that? How do you explain that most of the comments that got the most replies in underneath this trailer are about this black woman, because that's what she is, being Afro-Latina? And this one in particular says, yes, and this is a female, K. Mallory, yes, come through beautiful dark-skinned Afro-Latina. Now this was the first comment that I looked at that let me know that these bimbos are insane. They're fucking insane. This one female, she said that, well, it's a person with a female avatar. You really don't know who's who on the internet, but she rebutted what this person said in the beginning, and she said she's black, 100% African. Now, this is the actress that plays the witch and the slave wench in this Always a Witch Netflix TV series. And you can see she's somewhat dark-skinned. And look, I'm not saying that she doesn't have, you know, some Latin blood in her. But for the most part, you can see that most of the DNA on her is African. You can tell when a person is more of one side of biracial than the other. Okay? In the United States, she would be considered just a black woman. So, I almost slipped and said that this was incredible to me, but it's not, because we know where we stand. It is intriguing to see the angry response that this Hannah White person got when they rebutted what the OP, the original poster, said. When they said, yes, come through beautiful dark-skinned Afro-Latina. When she said she's 100% black, look at all these angry comments from black men too, but mostly black females. Charnay Young, she's not only Africa though, just like Africans. I'm Afro-American and she's Afro-Latina. Diana Salvatore, very few people on this earth are 100% African. Just so you know, she's an Afro-Latina, so yes, she's black, but don't forget her ethnicity. Says 7 miles north, says Hannah White, girl, you just had to ruin this comment thread. Now hold on a second. Whether this Hannah White person is actually a black female or not, let's just assume it's a black female. Why did they ruin the comment thread? Because they disagree that this person is Afro-Latina? See, this is what a lot of you black men who come here and cape for these hoes to my channel need to understand, okay? This black female, not only does she not want you, for the most part, she doesn't even want herself. She wants to believe. She wants to be anything but herself. Isn't that evident? I mean, what further proof do you need? Let's scroll and keep looking. Y'all just had to turn this into an argument. Huh. She's beautiful whatever her ethnicity is. And Hannah White says, notice I'm not engaging with them. Argue by themselves. And then this nutcase, the Empress, says, Hannah White, you're hilarious. White Hannah, happy to tell us very important things like someone's genetic makeup. Good for you. You take that right road because you graduated from high school and don't have to take S from anyone. Just plain stupid. And now you will notice my previous comment that speaks to people just like you. Hannah White says, yawn. The Empress says, oh, did I wake you? Don't let me confuse you with the facts. Shh. Hush, little baby. Shh. Just go back to your sleeping life. Maybe an accent wall will calm any disruption to your invented reality. Now that she's gone to air. Okay, so that's her. And then we scroll Keep going. She says Stephen Carter reparation. I say educate, whatever the fuck that says. And then says, which are you stupid? You think Stephen Carter isn't black? I say it everywhere I go. I'm not racist. I hate everyone equally. I said reparations, you stupid F. Black people love me, blah blah. Says Stephen Carter, we're talking about you over here. This witch thought it was clever to talk around us. She never expected to come across the Empress. Just another dumb bimbo. Says is that you? Hey, okay. Lorenza, Italy, 2005. Me, Antoinette. Brian Aristobal says she was right, Afro-Latina. She's not African because she wasn't born in Africa. She's Colombian. But the point is, okay, scroll through here and you see a lot of angry bimbos because Hannah White said that she was just black, that she was just African. Katrina says Hannah White still Afro-Latina. Angelita says in Latin America, Afro-Latinos have developed their own culture forged from their roots, indigenous practices, and Spanish practices. Don't disrespect her ethnic identity by claiming her as African because she comes from a separate thing. You know, I remember when I was a kid, one of the biggest insults that you could be called besides gay was an African booty scratcher or kunta kinte. And it just shows you the complete ignorance of these niggas. Because Kunta Kinte, if memory serves me correctly, he was a slave or would-be slave that escaped his master. Somebody can educate me on that. But he was seen as like a hero amongst his tribe and you know, historically for what he did. Yet when I was a kid, and I don't know, I'm pretty sure this was true for other people. The two things that you were insulted with by your peers, if you weren't outright called gay, was either you were an African booty scratcher, or, and this was back in like the early 90s that I'm talking about, or Kunta Kinte. And all the kids would bust out laughing if somebody called you Kunta Kinte. And to this day, niggas are stupid enough to believe that that's an insult. Why? Because Negroes have been taught and they believe that being straight African is an insult. They actually get insulted when someone suggests, whether it's true or not, that they are somebody else that they like or want to fantasize about is not mixed with Indian in their family, or in this case, Latina. Now, I don't have to scroll through all of this, you know, to show you guys. I mean, it's clear, obvious. You have 63 replies underneath this. Just because one bimbo said that she's not Afro-Latina, she's African. And all these hoes get mad. And some Negroes too. Some dudes get mad too. And we scroll here and we see some more stupidity. It says, finally a dark-skinned Latin America. Let me tell y'all something. There are black people with Hispanic in them, but there is no such fucking thing as a Afro-Latina. Okay? That's fucking stupid. It doesn't even sound right. It doesn't even make sense. If they are mixed, they are going to look mixed. Okay? Their skin is going to be a lighter tone. They are going to have, you know, Spanish or Latino features. Okay? They are not going to look like an African person, and just because they were their ancestors were descended from, you know, where they were shipped to, which in this case is South America, that all of a sudden that equates to them being Afro-Latina. And I said the same thing for people who want to get mad. I said the same thing about so-called white South Africans. There is no, I'm sorry, I don't care what nobody says. There is no such fucking thing as a white African. No, there is not. No, there is not. White people's tribe and our tribe come from completely different parts of the fucking world. White people settled there. They took over there. Many of them were born there as a result of those settlements. But they are not fucking African. Okay? Get it through your head, black woman, and some of you Negroes too. Some of you are biracial. But some of you, even if you have a drop of something in you, you're more black and you're more African than you are anything else, which is why you're dark skinned. So you can call yourself and your kids India. You can call them Poland for all I care. You can say that they're mixed with Italian. At the end of the day, you and what the world sees you as and what you see when you look in the mirror, no matter how much fake up you put on, no matter how much weave you put on, you are a Negro. Okay? Just like I am a Negro. I don't claim, I'm sure I have a drop of something in me that ain't African. But for the most part, when I look at myself in the fucking mirror, because I don't have self-hatred like a lot of these bimbos do, I know what side won that DNA contest. That DNA tug of war. Okay? African. There was one other stupid comment I wanted y'all to see. Oh yeah, you look at all these hoes, man. Oh yes, come through with the AFROLatina. I mean, seriously, what are you hoteps? Just look at these stupid ass comments. Yes, I have been blessed with a black witch who is also Hispanic at that. Netflix might have just done something right here. What did they do right? Market, I got Indian in my family? Or market, I got Latino in my family? What did they market? Netflix has been in the business for over a decade. Oh, now they're just doing something right because they put an African bimbo in here speaking Spanish. Is that what they did right? See, this is what I'm telling y'all. And I said, let me read these comments. I told y'all before that all these hoteps talking about a race war. Y'all better recheck that, because you might be surprised at how many Negroes would be on the side of white and other non-black people fighting against your ass. Who's going? I asked that question before. Who's gonna fight on the black side? Who's gonna fight on the black side? Who's gonna fight for black people? You gonna be sitting there declaring war by yourself like that Negro with that channel, I Declare War. Yeah, you in what army? You niggas kill me, man. Says Netflix is the best when it comes to this kind of things. And another thing I want you to realize looking at these comments, keep in mind that this is a Spanish spoken movie, Netflix movie. And you have English speaking, mostly black American females on here praising this shit. Netflix didn't even, just like Ancestry.com, Netflix didn't even have to make this shit in English to get props and thumbs up from these bimbos. Just like I told y'all in the Ancestry.com video, these companies are studying what the fuck is going on the black sectors of social media. Okay, they see all this worship and deification of white and non-black men by these bimbos. Okay, and they're looking to capitalize off of that shit. Again, I can't emphasize enough. I mean, look at this dumb shit. Jan B says, I'm not Latina and I don't speak Spanish, but I will watch this to support the Afro-Latina community who has been ignored for too long. So you're gonna go and you're gonna watch something that you can't even understand shit because they're speaking a different language. What do I look like watching Crouching Tiger, Hidden Dragon in Chinese? But again, this is where your black queen is at, black man. This is where they're at. This is where they are fucking at. Whether you want to admit it or not. Pray Plan Progress. I know just from the name that's a black female. It says AFROLatina and has 4 hand clap symbols. They want to be anything but what you want them to be, which is your black queen, Mr. Hotep. Just Cindy says, Netflix been stepping up lately. Am here for it, 100, 100. Why are these bimbos talking about Netflix been stepping up? They were stepping up before they started selling you your bedwench swirl fantasy. Okay, whores? They were stepping up well before that. That's why I think the company is damn near worth $1 billion now. Or a few billions of dollars. But now they're stepping up because they're putting a black bimbo in there speaking Spanish. So that will further feed your fantasy of being Afro-Latina or being a Latina woman. Because y'all know y'all can't be white women. And the Indian in my family, that claim is getting old. So now it's the Afro-Latina. That's what's trending. So again, we don't have to keep going over and over this. It's pretty obvious where these hoes are at. And what Netflix has done, along with what Ancestry.com has done, and you Negroes got your panties in a bunch over that. And it was black men that were complaining, not black women. Okay? For you simps and Captain Save-A-Hoes that claim the black woman is God and the cradle of civilization, all that other nonsense, just know that stuff like this is going to be coming down the pipe more often. You're going to see a lot more of this. Now that it's clear, okay, Ancestry.com, that could have been a fluke. But Netflix doing basically the same thing, but this time it's a feature-length movie series. That lets you know that these companies are catching up. They're catching on to what's going on with these swirlers and then fantasizing about what most of them can't get, which is a white man. And just like those white boys that came on Crystal Carrison's show a few years ago, they are looking to capitalize off of that I love chocolate girls nonsense. They're looking to capitalize off of it. Like I said in the beginning, not only do they not want your black ass and will only deal with you out of convenience, and we've seen this firsthand, they don't even want to be themselves. There's nothing but mostly black bimbos in here praising this being an Afro-Latina, when the girl is obviously more African than she is anything else. She's about as dark-skinned as Lupita Nyong'o. This is where we're at, black man. Talk to you later, guys.